Welcome back to E-Magazine. Now it's time for E-Talk, and I have a special guest joining me today as we're having a conversation on whether the growth of social media influencers is taking up jobs for our models. Now, joining me, she has a special name. Let me just say that her name is Shankarun Abrahams. Did I get it right?
Actually, it's Shankaran, but
Shankaran.
you're forgiven.
Sorry, I'll call her Shanky. You said I can call you Shanky.
Shanky, yes.
Yes. Now, Shanky, you are a runway and a fashion model. I want to get to know a little bit more about that. Like, when did you get into it, and how has it been so far for you being a fashion model in Kenya?
Well, actually, I'm a fashion, commercial, and runway model.
Wow.
Amongst other things. I also do social media marketing. I'm a trained journalist, an actor. So I actually got into modeling because you know how when you grow up, people tell you, oh, you're tall, you should go try out, be a model. So I was like, oh, okay, let me try it out. So I started out with Miss World Kenya, whereby I went through, but due to some miscommunication, I didn't actually go to the other level. So I was like, let me just try this thing on a freelance level and see how it goes.
And how's that been for you so far, being a freelance model?
There are ups and downs, but I just decided, you know what, let me try out freelance, because actually having an agency, you're told you have to give the agency a certain cut. So I was like, let me just try the experience for myself, because experience is the best teacher.
100%. You don't want to share that money with anyone.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to get to know you. You know, you're a model, you've been in this space for a while, and there's been a growth of social media influencers in Kenya. There are actually quite a number of them.
Yes.
You know, this increase of social media influencers has become the ideal for a lot of brands. A lot of brands would, instead of picking a model, they'll go for the social media influencer to do these adverts, to do all these things. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, actually, I think when it comes to the brands, it depends with the target market. Sometimes, you know, the runway models, they have this specific body type, whereby whether there is a designer who wants the models to be thin or slender, and it's actually due to the fitting, because you can't make outfits for a plus size model or a slender model. It has to be uniform. It's just for showcasing mainly, because it's also a work of art. So when it comes to these other brands, it's because they feel like the influencers are more associated, rather they relate more with the normal person who isn't maybe the height, the model height, or the slender body. So I think it's also about the target market. I wouldn't really blame the influencers, because they're also getting their money.
Okay, so from your personal perspective, being a model, have you ever felt like you're constantly in competition with influencers for jobs?
Actually, yes. There was an audition I went to. They wanted a specific height. They were like 5'8" and above. Actually, it's 5'9" and above.
You were ticking everything on that.
I was ticking everything. They were like, no makeup look, hair tied back, no earrings, no jewelry, nothing. And then a social media influencer just came in. She's shorter than me, a bit plump. Not really plump, but she was a bit. She had some meat on her, and they were very specific. So we just had her name being called out. We had the rest, blah blah blah, and then we were told, "Thank you for your time."
Wow.
I was like, "Why is that happening?" So I just decided, no, I won't even do that anymore. I won't go for auditions. I'll just make my own networks, connect with people, and be like, if you have a project, hit me up. These are my rates.
And it becomes a bit demotivating for someone like you.
Yes.
You know, you work so hard. You are a professional model. You've done this for a long time.
You've
then
trained.
Someone comes and just takes the job because they have followings.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now we have to join them.
It's very true. Now of course, with you know, there being a lot of social media influencers, you'll find that models are, you know, the only job, majority of them will be runways, because now that one you have specific looks, like you mentioned, you need to be a certain weight, a certain, you know, size, height. So you get that job 100%.
Sometimes you don't, because there are also designers who, for example, if they're showcasing something to do with Africa, they need models who look like the typical African. So my skin tone won't actually go with the African look.
Wow.
So it's actually colorism. So their discrimination comes about, and you're like, so there's an event I went to, and I didn't make it for the runway, but instead we were made to be the ushers. And when I looked, we were almost the same complexion. So they just wanted the Lupita Nyong'o type of complexion. I mean, we're all brown skinned girls, so I don't know where the hate is coming from.
African
exactly.
At the end of the day. Okay.
Exactly.
Do you feel like, you know, with the introduction of, you know, social media platforms like Instagram, let's say Instagram for 100%, because now I feel like that's become a portfolio for a lot of models. Now with that introduction, you know, just talking about the fact that you had mentioned sometimes you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain size, but nowadays you also have to have a certain number of followings. Has that something? Have you been discriminated in the modeling industry because of the following you have, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, luckily for me, I haven't, because my work speaks for itself.
Yes.
As I said before, I'm a freelance model. So what I do is, when I tell you I deliver for you. So if I tell you go to my Instagram, you'll see I have, I just recently hit 2K followers. I was like, it's no big deal, because at least I know that half of my followers, I can do business with them when it comes to my art or my journalism stuff. I know that I can do work with them. So sometimes it's Instagram followers or other influencers who have actually bought followers, and sometimes the followers do matter, but it also depends on the content that you're putting out. So I wouldn't really say it's affected me.
Okay.
Yes.
And what steps would you say a model should take, especially with the period with COVID-19 that's been happening? I'm sure it's been difficult for you guys to get jobs, but what steps should a model take in order to get jobs or even keep them?
Well, basically, from the experience that I had, you have to have a good portfolio, because without that you can't sell yourself. Modeling is literally, you are the canvas, you are the one who is selling the product, which are the clothes or the shoes or rings, whatever it is that you're selling. So you have to have a good portfolio. Connect yourself with good photographers. You can go for auditions and then get to network. Actually, that's what I do. When I go to auditions, you don't just go to audition, you go to network. But for me, I just decided just have a good portfolio, and also I also have a Zoom conference whereby I just give pointers at a small fee.
That is amazing. You're super multi-talented over here,
yes,
as you can
clearly
see. Another thing I wanted to look at when you come into the Kenyan modeling industry, we have influencers taking up, we've just talked about influencers taking up majority of the modeling opportunities. So in that case, how can you work around it as a model? In the case that you have this job's been taken by influencers, like how can you work around that?
Basically, it's what Tyra Banks said, you have to adapt to the situation. So what I do is, I look at what the Instagram models are doing, and I see how I can incorporate it into whatever it is that I do as a model, as a trained model. So whatever they're doing is content that people want, because they started with that. So I can't start copying them. I can only perfect or better from the little bits of pieces that I see from their content. For example, if they are showcasing their outfits, I'll showcase my style, because I don't go with trends. I go with my own style. So people will be
amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. So I go with my style, and I tell people this is what I do, this is what I also don't do, and also get help from my mother.
Wow. Well, she must have amazing taste in style.
She does. I actually used to observe her, be like, makeup. She's so proud that I actually do makeup nowadays. I was such a tomboy.
Well, we cannot even tell that you are. Well, I'm loving our conversation. I just want us to take a short pause right there, guys. We'll be right back. We're going to go on this break, but we have more e-talk right here with Shanky.